Hello and welcome back to the Borak Minda Podcast. In this episode, I have the pleasure of having a chat with Khodijah Amin about her experiences with OCD. So I went out to a mall in KL and I met up with Khodijah to specifically talk about her experiences. And so this was quite a while ago, I think maybe a month ago or a bit over a month ago. I'd like to apologize for releasing this episode a bit later than it's supposed to. I've been quite ill lately and also have a sore throat, which explains why my voice is like this right now. But frankly, I think it's quite better. I wish I had this voice all the time. I love this voice. Anyways, So this episode is a bit different in the fact that the audio quality is a bit different because we were in a public space. You can still hear us. It was quite a ride. But I hope the quality is up to par. Please also remember to subscribe to this podcast. It's called the Borak Minda Podcast, which is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And also remember to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MINDAKAMI, which is MINDAKAMI. We also have our website out. It's mindakami.org. Check it out. And I hope you enjoy this episode.
So, would you mind introducing yourself?
My name is Khodijah Amin. I'm 25. I'm currently studying in UKM. I'm from Mandabarbangi. Yes.
And today we're going to talk about your experience with OCD.
Yep.
Which is obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yep.
How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I'm okay.
We've been talking quite a lot over the past few hours, I guess, about different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Some are funny despite being quite morbid.
Yeah.
But I guess that's how it is.
That's how it is.
Do you remember the time when I messaged you? Could you explain what was that about? Like how we came to, Minda came to contact you. It was because of something that happened with Wanita Hari Ini, right?
Oh yes. Wanita Hari Ini, they use the OCD term lightly. Mm-hmm. As if it's like a personality trait. Like, I think the title went, who's more OCD? Siapa lebih OCD, lelaki atau perempuan, men or women. And I posted about it because I thought that was quite ignorant and insensitive to use the term so lightly when it is something that is serious and should be taken seriously. Because a lot of people, they think that OCD is something that's not a very big deal. Yeah, and that minimizes or it makes the struggle for the people who are suffering from OCD kind of like
I guess it belittles it.
It belittles it.
It's kind of interesting, like someone on, I think Facebook or Twitter said something about that particular, what is it? Is it like I'm not sure what it is, like a interview session or like an episode of Wanita Hari Ini. Someone said that they did eventually contact a psychiatrist about what OCD is, but despite that happening, that wasn't really highlighted. The topic, the title itself is controversial in itself. It doesn't, I think like their interviewing the psychiatrist doesn't really justify their use of the term as OCD as a personality trait.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, someone did mention that. But it's still like there's quite, I saw a few bits of it because the celebrities kind of on the who are being interviewed for some reason. I don't know why. They were talking about siapa lagi OCD, lelaki ke perempuan, which is a really odd thing to ask. But diorang cakap pasal each and everyone yang ada Awal Ashari, ada Dinas.
Yeah.
So they said, the interviewer said, do you have OCD? Do you think siapa yang lagi OCD, perempuan ke lelaki? And then they explain like, no, I don't think I have OCD, but I really like things to be organized, blah 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 blah. So it's a bit weird lah.
Yeah. So they make it seem like OCD is about perfectionism.
When it's
not.
Yeah, there's so many different aspects of it.
Many different aspects, different manifestations of the illness. It is an illness. It's not, it's not a quirk. It's not a unique trait or something. It's something that should be taken seriously. And when they talk so lightly about it, we're dealing with lives, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people that suffering from OCD, a lot of them resort to substance abuse. That's the statistics. And I think that's the thing about OCD is that a lot of people see things from the surface. So, the hand washing or the arranging things in a certain order is just the tip of the iceberg. But there's so much more going on behind it. And actually, OCD can be very painful. It can be very debilitating, and it's extremely frustrating, extremely exhausting. And that's the thing that a lot of people find it hard to grasp. Like, how is washing your hands or arranging things or being a quote-unquote perfectionist something that's so difficult? And I can understand that it's hard for people to understand. Because it took us, like, for people who are diagnosed with OCD or even other mental illnesses, we took a long time to understand ourselves. So it's gonna take longer for other people to understand us. But the thing is, I think it's really important for people to acknowledge that there are things that they can't fully understand, or just respect the wish of mental illness patients. For us to, when we say, please don't use it lightly, please don't do this, please don't do that, it deals with people's lives. Like, you are making it so much harder when you're using the term lightly. So I think that's why it's so important that we are doing this and talking about it.
I guess it also, like you say, it kind of minimizes what OCD really is. So when people who, maybe I'll just give a scenario, maybe macam ada orang tu dia suffer from OCD tapi dia tak sedar lah, and then dia cerita kat orang, and then orang macam biasa je, like I am a perfectionist too, blah blah blah.
Me too. So, no,
okay. I don't know how this is normal when I keep washing my hands when they're bleeding and all. That's an example lah.
A while ago, because last semester I didn't do so well, and my classmate asked me like what happened. So I just told her that I wasn't feeling so well. I was sick, just to make it easier. But then she asked me, "What's your illness?" And then I decided to just tell her straight, OCD. And then she laughed and she's like, serious lah. She think I was joking, and then I was like, I am serious. So that's the impact of using the term lightly. It's really difficult enough for the sufferer, the OCD fighter, and then when people don't understand, it makes it so much harder for them to get through life. Like, imagine these people with with their misunderstanding of OCD, trying to explain how difficult it is to their bosses or to their lecturers.
They might get laughed at from their bosses as well, and that really doesn't help.
And they were like, oh, OCD, okay, what's wrong with that? And it's tiring to have to explain everything. And that is if we are able to explain. Most people would just withdraw, and that would cause them to, even more difficult for them to overcome their OCD.
I think it's really good that you're putting the word out there that OCD isn't a term to be like thrown around so easily. And I hope like we also helped you in like getting that message across.
I hope so too, because at first when I started sharing it publicly or in social media. Before that, I didn't share it with anyone, just with my family and my closest friends. But then my psychiatrist told me that they're looking for someone to share their experience with OCD.
Where?
In Psychosis TV. It's going to be aired sometimes around Ramadan or Shawwal.
Is that the first time that you talked about it publicly?
Yeah, that was the first time I talked about it. And it was actually, at that time, it was really hard for me. I cried so much because I feel like, oh my God, everybody's going to know my big secret.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Because, there's this huge stigma and people are going to think like, oh, she's mental, she's crazy.
Yeah.
But thankfully, alhamdulillah, the response was positively overwhelming.
Positively overwhelming.
Yeah, to the point where I was like, relax, I'm fine.
Yeah, I understand
that. My sister was the one who wrote about it because she was also featured in the interview. So when the word is out, I was like, done.
Yeah.
Okay, this is done. Let's go all out. Let's tell everything.
I know. I can relate as well because like I was never one to like actually talk about my problems at all to anyone. Like I very rarely. I only have like one friend who I talk to about stuff, and it became so overwhelming that I eventually like saw a counselor at my uni, and then since then macam all the floodgates are open lah. Macam mula-mula kan macam it's very hard to talk about it, and then you cry, it's so emotional. But now it's like, hey everyone.
Hey everyone, I have OCD and this is what my OCD is like. And some people don't understand that. Some people would think, why are you trying to seek so much attention to yourself? It's not about me. It's about OCD. It's about the people who are suffering out there. It's about the people who are suffering and have not yet seek professional help. Because I got people reaching out to me and they say, I think I have like a similar problem that you do. Like whatever you wrote, that's like me. And then they would go and ask me, how do you seek help? And I would just share whatever I can share. And then after that, they would tell me that they've gotten the professional help. And it's just, to me, that is why I'm sharing. That's why I feel like I feel obliged to share about it. Because one is that not everyone can articulate their thoughts. And not every mental illness patient have insight, and then not everyone can be able to be vulnerable about their experiences. And because I feel okay with it, so I feel like I don't really mind sharing, but it's so important that the word is going out there. It's so important for us to break the stigma. So whatever good we can do, whatever experience we can share, we just share it lah. Because we never know.
Okay, before we move on, I do have a few questions for you about how you got diagnosed with OCD. So how long ago did you get diagnosed?
I got diagnosed in May 2018. So it's
almost a year
ago. And
how? Yes.
Okay, so that was the second time I went to the psych clinic. The first time was earlier that year. Earlier the year before, so in early 2017. But at that time, I didn't see a psychiatrist.
You saw a doctor?
Yeah, a doctor. And she couldn't detect my problems because she just said that this is just stress and I just have a sleep problem, that's all. But I did feel like I wasn't really listened at that time. Yeah. But I went along and I just followed wherever her advice for sleep and stress management at that time. So I noticed that there's always like this cycle that I go through, like a pattern where I would like stumble and fall at a certain time. Like I know that there's going to be, I'm even like expecting it to happen. So during May last year, I was just doing so bad because I have always had this problem of not being able to finish things. Like I have problems being on time, getting things done on time. Since I was 7, I was always the one. If I'm not the last one, then I never submitted my assignments or my homeworks. But I was not lazy. I mean, it's not that I didn't understand why I couldn't do things, because I wanted to do things, and I was analyzing, where did my time go? Like, why am I doing all day? Because my friends sometimes ask me, like, what did you do all day? Why can't you finish your homework? And I'd be asking myself the same question, what did I do all day? Because sometimes when you're obsessing about something and doing things, you don't realize time passes by, and the next thing you know, you're 25 and you're on your 3rd depression episode, and then you've tried all that you can. You've read all the self-help tips and everything. You've met counselors. You ask advice from so many people, and you're at a dead end. And that you feel every time you talk to someone, people don't understand what you're going through. And then at the same time, when I ask people, do you do this? They're like, no, I don't do that. And the things that people find easy, I find it really hard. Like, for example, in the morning, I would feel really, it's really weird for me when people can just get up and get ready, and they just know what to do. I'm like, how do they know what to do? For me, it's like rocket science. I would like sit there for 30 minutes. So 30 minutes is short. Sometimes up to 2 hours, I would think about, okay, should I brush my teeth first, or I do this, or I do that, and I would rearrange it and arrange it and rearrange it, and then the next thing I know, I'm late. So it's really frustrating because those delays in my daily lives builds up. And eventually it affects my studies, it affects my emotion, it affects my sleep, it affects every aspect of my life. And that's what people don't understand, how hard it is for OCD sufferers. So back to how I got diagnosed. So at that time, I was just really, I was having suicidal thoughts because whenever I'm at the dead end, like I mentioned before, I always think of, resort to not very healthy ways to cope. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna give a second try to see the psychiatrist, because I think I really do need help, because I feel like I have tried everything, and I just couldn't figure it out how to overcome whatever it is that I was going through at that time, because I didn't know it was OCD. I just know that I have a problem and I need help, and I was really desperate. So I went there.
Did you immediately go to see a psychiatrist?
I went to Mentari, Putrajaya.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And at that time, I just
How did you know to go to Mentari?
Because
you knew it was something mental health.
Yeah, when the first time I went to Mentari Selayang, because at that time I was just Googling psychiatrists near me. And then Mentari came out. So I just, okay, this is under government, let's just give it a go. Like I mentioned earlier, the doctor I didn't really feel like she was listening, and I didn't feel like it really helped. But I just decided to give it a second try, because I was just so buntu lah. Yeah, I was just
tak tahu nak buat apa dah lah.
desperate, because it's either I go to a psychiatrist or I do something really stupid.
Yeah. Or you suffer forever.
Yeah.
I mean, that isn't like...
Yeah. So I went to Mentari Putrajaya, and it was already closing at that time, but there was a nurse there, and I told the nurse that I'm really in a bad state right now, and I just told her everything, and I cried out to her.
Wow.
I was like in a very emotional state at that time, and she was so kind enough, because procedure-wise, is that you can't just walk in and get an appointment. You have to get a referral letter from klinik kesihatan.
Even Mentari?
Yes, even Mentari. Sometimes you can walk in, maybe cases like me. So she contacted a few doctors actually. Like the first doctor didn't want to take my case because I didn't have any referral letter, but alhamdulillah my psychiatrist eventually decided to see me the next week. So when I met him, that's when I finally felt like I was listened to for the first time in my life.
Someone believes you.
Someone believes
Someone
me.
understands that you're going through
Understands
something.
me. It has a name.
Yeah. So he after how many sessions, or was it the first session dia dah check up you probably have OCD?
Yeah, the first session it was kind of like just an introduction, but he recognizes that I have OC behaviors. Okay, that's when I told him I do this and that, and he would like, okay, that is OC, that is OC, that's also OC. And then he said that it's quite common for people to have OC behaviors.
Yeah.
But then he said that now you're doing degree, it means you are doing quite okay, because usually when really severe cases, they won't even finish school. So he said that you're probably doing quite okay lah. But then I told him not really, because during my diploma, for our final year thesis, I was the last person to submit, and I only managed to submit that. It was like way past deadline, and I got a lot of help from my brother, and he told me, okay, so that means you have a problem. So when it affects your life, it affects your work performance, it affects your relationship, or it affects your studies, then it is a disorder. It means that it's bad enough. Yeah, so that's how I got diagnosed.
So generally people can have obsessions, people can have compulsions, but there's a line between it being disruptive to your life or not, I guess.
Yes.
I guess it's a spectrum as well, like the severity.
Yeah.
What's my next question? Forgot already. Cepat sangat dia lock phone ni. So, how is your experience with OCD? Like, what kind of obsessions and compulsions do you engage?
So my obsessions and compulsions is not really the classic hand washing type. I don't have any fear of contamination or obsessions with hygiene. My obsession is with sequence. I didn't understand it at first. It was my psychiatrist who pointed it out to me, because my sequencing was so complicated. I call them patterns because I would arrange things like in multiple sorts of patterns and formulas and very complicated things
formulas.
that when I look back at my notes and my scribbling, I would go like, I don't even remember how I figured that out. I can't even like
you can't even understand what you wrote?
Yeah, I can't even understand what are the formulas, like what does this stand for, what was going through my mind at that time, because there were so many. So I would do arrange things or tasks in very specific and intricate patterns or sequence, and it takes a lot of my time. Like when I went to my psychiatrist, I was spending an average of 5 hours per day just doing things or arranging things. Sometimes it's just in my mind. Like I would just be stuck there and just arrange and rearranging things. Like every single thing that, if I can conclude it, every single thing that you have to make a decision, those are the things that I will have a system or a sequence to it. From the clothes that I wear, from the socks that I put on, from every single thing, from the tasks like lunch or simple things like cleaning your room. There's like it's like a rocket science to me. So
you have a really like it's very hard for you to make decisions lah, because you have to go through this process of thinking about what's the best way to do it lah.
Yeah, and I make it really complicated, and I know that I'm making it very complicated, and I know that it's ridiculous, but I can't help it, because the obsession, that's why it's an obsession. you have this really strong urge to do it. Like my mom always put it, and she's absolutely right. She always say that I don't have a sense of priority, and she is absolutely correct. I don't, because I don't know what's more important, because arranging things in certain order feels so important and so urgent to me. Like, for example, if you have an actual urgent thing, for example, you need to go to class, which always happened to me. I need to go to class. Everybody knows that it's important, but I also feel like having my socks in a particular order is also really, really important.
Yeah.
So my socks is out of order, but I need to go to class. My socks is out of order, but I need to go to class. And then I would end up ruminating on that sequence, like which one do I do first, or so when all the sequences kind of like bertembung,
Clash.
Yeah, clash. That's when things go all haywire, and then I will start to remember, like, why am I like this? Why can't I just do things like other people? Why do I have to take so much time doing everything? This is ridiculous. It's been like decades, and I still can't do simple things. So it's very frustrating. It's really difficult for me to understand myself. So yeah, that was my experience. Like, and I don't want to, just by sharing my experience, whoever's listening out there, I want to stress that every OCD sufferer's experience is unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unique and it's different for everyone. So I think that's something that we need to acknowledge and keep in mind. Yeah, so that we can at least try to understand. Even though I know that it's going to be difficult for people to understand. A lot of people ask me, like, how is that difficult? Yeah, sometimes I find it hard to explain that to people, and that's what most OCD sufferers find it hard to explain as well.
Yeah, because I guess a lot of it comes from their own thoughts.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, I guess a lot of people, when they think about OCD, they do imagine like something quite physical and obvious, like the hand washing, the rearranging physical things.
Yeah.
But I know that a lot of people with OCD don't have very obvious obsessions and compulsions.
Like for me, people would just think that I'm just doing my task. For example, I used to come up with a mnemonic device for my daily simple things, like taking showers and taking your breakfast and lunch.
So there's like an order of what you should do.
There was an order, and there was a lot of it. Like I would change it, and then I was like, okay, this is not working, so I have to change it again. So I would be like repeating it, and I would like commit it to memory, like it's some kind of Quranic verse. Wow. Yeah. So that's what people see, and that's what.
I guess it seems like, okay, she's doing something. It doesn't look problematic.
Yeah, she seems okay.
Yeah.
But it's how do I put it? It is difficult to share how it can be difficult. And if there's one thing that whoever is listening can take away from this, if you can understand it, just acknowledge that it can
At least acknowledge
that it can be very debilitating for some. Maybe for some people the case could be mild. Mine is, I wouldn't say mine is mild, and I wouldn't say it's severe either. It's somewhere along the line, between the lines. So where was I?
I guess just because, what was it? I also don't remember what I was saying.
It's difficult to explain OCD, to make it so that people understand.
I guess just because people don't understand it doesn't mean that they can just dismiss it or feel like it isn't real.
Yeah. So, like me coming out with mnemonic devices, those are the compulsions. But the obsessions are the hardest part. Compulsions are a lot easier to control, like, because you can realize the instance you are doing a compulsion. And it's easy to stop yourself. This is a compulsion. But when you're obsessing, you don't realize hours go by, and these hours become days, become weeks, become months, become years, and your whole life is like being wasted on these ridiculous, silly things that people simply think is a quirk, or people take lightly. So that's like years wasted of our lives, and those are the things that we dread so much. And those are the things that we want people to understand.
So, talking about your obsessions, is it like you want everything to go very smoothly, or like according to?
It's different every time. For me, at that time, I feel like I was doing the right thing. Like it's important. Like I want it to be just right, and it's always very, very complicated. But then at one point I realized that I wasn't doing anything. It was just my thoughts. There was just this obsession of wanting to do things a certain order. That's the issue. So I couldn't distinguish that at first. And only after getting treatment is that I could I finally understand that my psychiatrist would tell me those are just lists. They don't really mean anything, and those are the things that are consuming me, and those are the things that I need to overcome. Because my OCD seems like it's harmless. That's why it's quite challenging, but at the same time it doesn't really hurt me physically like some form of OCD. For example, for the classic contamination fear type of OCD, they would have usually their hands would bleed, and they would get like a physical. It would manifest itself
you can
physically.
See it,
yeah, but for me it doesn't. So that's why it's challenging, but at the same time there's some not to say perks, but it's not. Like I said, like it's unique to everyone, but doesn't mean that it's easy. Everybody's struggle is different, and any struggle is needs to be taken seriously, like it isn't lesser. Like if and this is in the context when someone is diagnosed with OCD lah. Because if someone isn't diagnosed with OCD, if it's just OC behavior, it means that it's not bad enough. It's just probably just a behavior. It can be a little time consuming, but it's not affecting the person's life negatively.
I did on my previous episode. I did go into. I explained what OCD is and an important element of it is related to irrationality. Meaning like whatever the obsessions and compulsions are, they aren't necessarily rational. Like it doesn't make sense to other people, but for you it makes sense. Like I know why I have to do this. Like this is the way to do things.
I remember when I was in diploma. We had quite a small library, and I thought I liked to read. So I thought? Yeah, I
okay.
Thought, I'm not finished yet. I thought I liked to read. And so I was figuring out this system, which book should I read first.
Okay.
So I was like going through, I should go through this shelf and then this shelf, and then suddenly, I should do it that way. I should do it from right to left. No, left to right. So I was just obsessing about the sequence of what are the books to read. And then it just occurred to me, because I thought that I was going to read all the books in the library.
In the library, yes.
In the library. And then
all 2,000 books. And that doesn't seem like a lot. Probably they have more.
Yeah, because at that time it made perfect sense to me. So I was spending so much time figuring out what is the best way to tackle this library. And then after graduating, I realized that I have never borrowed even one single book to read. And then I just realized that it is humanly impossible for you to finish an entire library.
I mean, I don't know, maybe.
Maybe if you, that's the only
I
thing
think
you do.
you'll just have to sleep there
Yeah.
to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I was like, I feel so bad. I literally hold the books with my hands and I apologize to them. I'm sorry, I didn't read you. Yeah, and it's funny, it's silly, and that's the thing that about OCD is it can be silly, it can be really funny, but the thing is I don't really want to focus on that. I do laugh at myself sometimes, but there's a lot of tears behind that button.
Yeah, of course.
So that's
After a while, you like realize it's quite like
okay.
nonsensical, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's ridiculous.
Not while it's happening, it's probably really hard.
What
but
is
like,
happening?
Yeah.
I literally cried. I was like, no.
In the library, when you were trying to figure out.
When I was reminiscing about the books that are not being read, I was like, I'm so sorry. What about how are the writers going to feel? The publishers going to feel?
Oh my god.
Like it's just a sad book sitting in the library.
Kesian dia.
I'm sorry, books.
I don't kesian at the books at all. I kesian you. Like, I don't care about the book. They don't feel anything.
So it's really ridiculous, but it's also sad at the same time because, like I said, I don't realize it. That I don't realize how ridiculous it is. I was so obsessed with it, basically.
Yeah. How long did you spend trying to figure out the sequence?
Oh, like every day there's always some kind of sequence.
I specifically the library thing.
Couldn't count because it was like there's different kind of things. It's not just the library thing. It's gonna be like how the sequence for the clothes that I wear, the sequence for what food should I pick, the sequence for the colors. There's so many sequences that I even have like a list for my list.
A list what?
A list for my list.
Wow. Oh my god. Yeah, I guess like your attention to detail goes beyond what people usually do.
Yeah, and it's a waste of time. But thankfully, the good thing is that for me, it's an urge and guilt. When I don't do things a certain way, I feel guilty. For a lot of other OCD sufferers, they feel a very real fear. Like when they wash their hands, they're so worried that they're going to get contaminated and they're going to die and something really bad is going to happen. For me, I do feel that something really bad is going to happen, but it's a lot more illogical. So it's a lot more easier for me to like, this is ridiculous, you need to stop. It's a lot more easy for me to kind of distinguish it lah. Even though for the library case it took me 3 years. But so that's how it is. We can laugh about it. But
I guess there is like not only obsessions yang ada severe or not severe kan, but also like the fear and anxiety that comes with it. Like for you mostly rasa guilt lah. Tapi for other people maybe like I did like give an example on the OCD episode like I said about if I don't do this then someone will die or something like that. Like that's a very, very debilitating. So what kind of treatment did you manage to get for your OCD? So, and what are you doing now?
So for my OCD, I was given medication.
What kind of medication? Is it antidepressant, anti-anxiety, antipsychotic?
Antidepressant, the SSRI kind. And I started on a really low dose, and now I'm on like just a little bit below maximum dosage. And I do realize that it does help a little, but medication alone wouldn't really do much.
Yeah, especially for something that you need to like think about. It doesn't automatically
we need to tap into
fix your thought process.
Yeah, so by I'm not really sure what exactly the therapies are, but I know that I have gone through CBT because I think for OCD it depends on what the obsessions and compulsions are. For my kind of OCD, there are certain things that my psychiatrist would tell me and that I would tell myself whenever I'm stuck. Those are the things that like a to-do list for my obsessions of to-do list. A simple to-do list. So like I would just remind myself what's the most important thing to do at that time, and just remind myself that this is not like I don't have to layan this merepekness, this ridiculousness.
I like that you call it merepekness.
Because it's so merepek.
So, your psychiatrist yang you jumpa tu, is that the person who conducts your therapy, or do you see someone else?
Yeah, my psychiatrists are the ones who do my therapy. For some reason, I don't know why, I was never assigned to a clinical psychologist, so it's all psychiatrists that help me. Yeah, and it's really helpful once I understand my OCD, because I think people always liken depression to like having a really bad fever. It means that it's really bad, but then once you overcome it, it's gone until you if you get like another episode.
Yeah.
But for like mental illnesses such as OCD, it's kind of like having diabetes. You're always going to have it, but there are certain lifestyle that can trigger it, that can make it worse or make it better. So it's the same with OCD. Like I know, okay, bad sleep is going to make my OCD worse. Stress is going to make my OCD worse. So it's all about managing the symptoms and managing how it affects my life. So that's the most helpful thing that I learned from my visit to the psychiatrist.
Are you still in therapy since last year?
Yeah.
So, since May tahun lepas lah?
May, yeah. At first, it was, my sessions were like twice a month. And then when I got better, it was every 6 weeks. But when I kind of relapsed, if you want to call it, then it's back to like 2 weeks. Right now, I'm meeting my psychiatrist like once a month. So it's good, but I mean, it still needs work lah. I'm still learning, and I'm still recognizing what my triggers are. I'm still recognizing what are the things that really help me, because there's a lot of tools that we learn. Because it's not just therapy, it's also psychoeducation. Yeah. So,
like for example,
my psychiatrist would teach me to be able to recognize what are my emotions during that time. Like, is this am I anxious or am I sad? What is this emotion? And then what are the things that I need to do with that emotion? Then there's this elastic band thingy. Yeah, which surprisingly really helped.
Really?
Yeah, I did it. I was skeptical. I was like, I didn't like the sight of an elastic band. It's not very aesthetic.
Maybe you can dress it up.
Yeah, but then it really helps, because obsessions are really hard for you to stop it. But with
they kind of snap you back.
Snap me back to reality.
Literally, every kind of snap your wrist.
Yeah. So it's different for everyone, and the things that I learned, those are the therapy and psychoeducation, and just understanding myself better. That's the thing that helps me the most.
So when you use the elastic band masa you tengah struggle with your thoughts, like you tengah obsessing lah, and then that helps you
to snap
stop
out of it. Yeah, it's a daily struggle, because you can't just like one then your OCD is cured for your life. No.
Wow, that's really good. Like, you don't need pills or anything, you just buy an elastic band.
That's like magic. I wish that could happen more than anyone.
Imagine like doctors prescribing, like they give you the elastic in a plastic bag.
So it's a daily struggle. So whenever I start to notice that, okay, I'm obsessing, this is irrational, I will like snap my wrist and then move on to what I'm supposed to do at that time. So there's different types of coping strategies lah, depending on the situation, depending on the time. So it's not just like a one size fits all kind of solution.
Like you said, like each condition is unique, and therefore whatever you use to cope is unique as well lah, whether it's healthy or not. That's the thing. But everyone is different. I do have a question about relapsing. Like, this is just me being curious lah, because whenever I relapse, I do feel like I'm taking a step back and like rasa macam
I failed.
You fail like back to square one, or even worse than square one sometimes. So do you feel that way as well? And how do you how do you like go through with that?
So my lowest low was when I
very funny.
when I relapsed. It was really, I felt like I failed, like because I for the first time in my life, when after seeing the psychiatrist and after getting treatment, for the first time I felt like finally I know that this is not, I'm not making this up, that this is something that it has a name, that I'm not exaggerating. But with relapse, I feel like this is not working. That's my initial thought. But then after some time, I finally understood that it's not that simple. That I'm always going to have it, and I think that it's really important for us if we want to overcome our mental illness, or at least manage it. Knowledge is power. The more you read, the more you understand, and the more you read other people's experience or listen to other people's experience, the more you will understand yourself as well. And when I just do more reading from like researchers, I finally understand, like how I mentioned, it's like diabetes. Like you're always gonna have it, but you need to learn to manage it so that it's not gonna affect your life so much.
For me personally, whenever I relapse, like I have to think about, like, of course mula-mula you macam rasa guilty, you rasa macam you fail, and like for me also, like a lot of people know kan, like I guess maybe you will feel the same way. Like people kind of look up to you because like they know you have this, and like you're getting better.
But then suddenly
we also have our really bad days, lowest lows. So for me, I try to like practice compassion lah towards myself, because it's really, I guess people can be like, people can be their harshest critics of themselves.
That's true.
So like, in order, I guess, for anyone to push through relapses, is for you to like have compassion towards yourself. Forgive yourself.
Go easy
like,
on yourself. Which is not, it's just easier said than done, actually.
It takes a while. Like every time there's a setback, you just have to like stop and like go from there. As in like, wherever you're at, you can just move on from there. It doesn't need to be perfect in the first ride. It doesn't need to be like you have to start from where you were at your peak.
Progress is progress. I think that's why it's really important to have support.
So you would say that you do have good support from your family and friends?
Yes, I consider myself really lucky to have good support. My the first support that I got was my sister. Is my sister. She is like, whenever I'm in trouble or whenever something's bothering me, I can tell everything to her. So when like we just discussed earlier regarding relapse, I would just go to her and tell her whatever it is that I'm feeling, whether I'm feeling worthless or I'm feeling hopeless, and then she would like remind me to do the things that you're saying. Like,
sometimes we forget.
Because sometimes when we're in that, when we were in that distressed period, we just couldn't think straight. We couldn't. Like, it's almost impossible. It's
like there's no brain space for you to think about that. Like, your brain is filled with only those really unhealthy things.
So support is important. You know, so I try to be support to other people as well, but we can only do so much because we're we're going through our thing as well.
Okay, I think we have to wrap it up for now. I do have one more question. I think we've been talking for like over an hour now. But anyways, what do you what message do you have for OCD patients, and what would you like the public to know?
Okay, so for my fellow OCD fighters, hang in there. If you're just newly diagnosed, know that it's not going to be easy, and it's okay. It's okay that it's not easy. It's okay if you fall. It's okay if you on that day you feel like you failed again, because we have this feeling like a constant failure of managing our obsessions and compulsions, and it's okay. It's going to take time. Reach out to other people, because that will help you not feel so alone.
Yeah, there are people out there who are going through similar things.
Yeah, because I'm so glad that I shared about my struggles, because I through my sharing, I met other people who are going through the same thing as me, and even that very fact helped, because I would remind myself, because sometimes we would punish ourselves and think that this is me and not an illness, but we need to constantly remind ourselves that it's not. You can't help it. I mean, we can help to try to get better slowly, but the things that are happening, it's not our fault. We didn't choose to do this, because sometimes we might be very hard on ourselves. So just keep swimming, like Dory said.
Hello, Dory.
Just keep swimming. And for the public, try to acknowledge that it can be very hard. Acknowledge that you might not be able to understand everything, but do not dismiss those who are suffering. If they are diagnosed, it means that it is bad enough. And try to, whenever you think of mental illness, think of physical illness. Just equate it. If it's a physical illness, would you say this thing? Would you question it? Would you dismiss someone who just broken their leg and just say, get over it? Or why can't you just snap out of it? Why can't you just do, why do you have to wash your hands so much? It's not that simple. Acknowledge that there's limitations in our ability to empathize, and just try to just be kind, and educate yourself in mental health issues, because you never know who you can help. You never know that the simple things that you educate yourself about, maybe those little things might prevent the next suicide. You never know that. It's really important getting ourselves educated about mental health issues.
Okay, Khodijah, thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me.
Thank you for having me.
And that brings us to the end of the episode, with me and Khodijah Amin talking about our experiences with OCD. I'd like to thank Khodijah for letting me have a chat with her, even though she didn't really know me, about her experiences. She also did an interview with Light FM. I think you can Google that, and she should be in an episode of Psychosis TV, which is coming up. I'm not sure, maybe I think it's in Raya or something like that. Also a warning that my voice is gonna be like this for the next few episodes, I think, because I'm gonna record them in a bit. But I hope you'll enjoy either way. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.